Hello, I'm Tim Whatley, and this is my wife Barbara and our son Caleb, and we are missionaries with Baptist Mid-Missions.
We're so thankful to be working in the country of Peru in the southern jungle since 1989.
Well, we have prepared a video to share with you, so let's get started.
The Amazon River in South America flows out of an immense and surprisingly varied region comprised of hundreds of tributaries. Bob and Betty Whatley, my parents, began working in the southern portion of this tropical forest in 1960 with the Huachipairi tribe. Years later, when God called me into missions, I was excited to take the gospel to neglected jungle areas where churches had not been established. After marrying Barbara and graduating from Faith Baptist Bible College, we joined Baptist Mid-Missions and raised support to return to Peru. Our goal was to plant a church in the village of Salvacion, which means salvation, where the mayor had offered to donate property for a church building. But upon our return to Peru in 1989, we discovered that the country had rapidly degenerated, and suddenly other needs seemed more pressing. Terrorism was rampant. Existing churches were struggling, and the village of Salvacion had become almost a ghost town. God led us to start church planting in a more centrally located area in order to assist other vital ministries that were being started. One key responsibility was coordinating the translation of the New Testament into the Quechua language. That momentous task took 13 years, during which time we taught in the Bible school, helped start a camp ministry, and contributed to the operation and programming of the radio station. We were also involved in the church plant in Urubamba and later started the Abundant Life Baptist Church in the neighboring village of Aring.
But what about the jungle? God had not forgotten it, and neither had Tim. We took frequent ministry trips into different jungle areas, taking interns from the USA and Peruvian fellow servants. We shared the needs of the isolated jungle tribes during furlough, and we pursued leads as we could. One event kept haunting us. In 1992, a Yine chief and 6 members of his tribe entered the church Tim was pastoring in the jungle city of Quillabamba. Tribal people are considered the lowest people group on the social scale in Peru, and they very seldom come into town. So the visit of Chief Jeremiah and his small contingent gave us an incredible opportunity. The chief shared the compelling story of single missionary ladies who had translated Bible portions into the Yine language and started a school. Many in their village identified themselves as Bible believers, but had little understanding of salvation by grace through faith. What had attracted Jeremiah to enter the Quillabamba church that morning was the Spanish word iglesia on our sign. Iglesia means church in Spanish, and it is quite similar to the Yine word for church. The Yine had been reading for years about the iglesia, and that morning they had entered the church to ask what a church was. Tim enjoyed several hours of teaching the delightful group and then accepted their invitation to visit their village to teach the Bible and start a church. This would be quite a trip. Tim would drive the 12 hours to get to the end of the road. The Yine would be waiting there with a boat to travel the remaining 20-plus hours to their village. It seemed like a plausible plan, but reality intervened. The jungle rains came early that year, preventing the tribe from being able to navigate the river. Tim's cornea transplant had rejected, and now it was time for our furlough. The contact was lost, and for 10 years we prayed and shared the need of the Yine people.
In 2003, God orchestrated humanly impossible circumstances to help me and a team from different churches in the U.S. locate Jeremiah and his Yine village. Since that time, many consecrated individuals have helped us minister in Jeremiah's village and many other jungle locations. We feel privileged to be a part of God's strategic provision of missionaries in the southern jungles of Peru. Since 2003, God has burdened servants to raise up churches. I have always had a passion and a preference for jungle ministry, and am thrilled that my health permits me to work there.
Upon our return to Peru, our plan is to base out of the jungle town of Kiteni. Kiteni is the hub for 14 smaller villages where we already have churches or works with untrained lay leaders. Without a solid church and trained pastor in Kiteni, these village churches will continue to struggle or cease to exist altogether. Tim has been working in some of these communities since 1983. During the last few years, he has invested much of his time training leadership and edifying the church bodies in several different locations. We would like to continue that training and edifying ministry next term while assisting Peruvian missionaries Rolando and Gladys Arias to establish the Baptist Church in Kiteni.
There are several obstacles to spiritual progress in the Kiteni area. The first obstacle is the social impact of natural gas extraction. Jobs away from home and family have contributed to the disintegration of many family units, including those of some key lay leaders. The rapid arrival of satellite TV, internet, and cell phone service represents temptations the agricultural population is unprepared to combat. Prices of land and buildings skyrocketed, meaning that even paying rent has become a hardship. We are grateful that our fellow missionary Joy Ackerman has been ably serving in the Kiteni area for the past 2 years. We are convinced that we can help the Arias family and Joy buy and develop a church property during our next term. Other challenges that lie before us include the sale of our house in Aring and the sale and distribution of the Quechua New Testament.
We want to thank all of our support team in the USA for the many ways you have impacted our lives and ministry. So many groups and interns have blessed the ministry as well as our family by dedicating their time and talents to projects here in Peru. By God's grace, our Bible school, Christian school, radio ministry, and church plants in different locations are flourishing. We are also thankful for how God is using you here in the USA. My brothers, Freddie and Caesar, and my sisters, Brianna and Sonia, had solid churches to come to when they came to the USA to complete their education. Our family in Christ is immense, and we are privileged to be a part of it. Thank you for impacting MKs through the years. Even though day-to-day life is very different for Alex and Flor in Pilcopata, as well as Fernando and Yulisa in Aring, for my parents in Kiteni, and for Freddie, Caesar, Brianna, Sonia, and me in the USA. We feel a unity and connection with each other and with our USA support team.
Looking back on what God has done during the last 34 years makes us excited to see what lies ahead. Thanks for being a part of the Lord's future strategy. Faith requires following Him one step at a time. We are anxious to launch forward together in spite of the distance that separates us.